Good morning, everybody. It's so exciting to be here with all of you this year. Le'ilu nishmas Tov Menachem ben Akiva, ule'ilu nishmas Dov ben Israel, and yes, and it's for your mother, Bas Elchanan Yitzchak, Chana Reisha Bas Elchanan Yitzchak, and Latzlochas, my daughter has her driving test today. Over Shir Bas Esther from us. So I said I'm going to learn from her. Okay. Yalla, let's go. Says the Mishnah. We're going to have 4 cases. 2 cases, 3 cases are going to be in the Mishnah. Yeah, let's see. Our Mishnah discusses, the mafkid that does not remember who gave him the money. What happens if somebody gave you money to look after and you just simply cannot remember who the person was? And different people claim that they're the one who was mafkid $10 million by you, and you somehow forgot about that. It was you? No, it was him. He says it was him. He says, no, each one says it was him. That's small money for you. It doesn't even make a difference. Says the Mishnah. Amar l'shnaim. The first case, though, is a case of Gezela. The first case is a case of Gezela. Amar l'shnaim. Yeah, you see over here, there are 2 cases of theft. Not all of them are in the Mishnah. And cases of deposit. Yeah? Says the Mishnah. First case number 1. Amar l'shnaim. Gozalti elechat mikem moneh. Person comes and confesses. We don't know at this point what do the victims say, but one person tells 2, so to speak, victims, I stole money, 100 zuz from one of you. I don't know which one of you. I know I stole, you both are dressed the same. Black hat, black jacket, white shirt, and I don't know which one of you did I steal it from. Wasn't you? Maybe it was you. And I don't know which one it was that I stole from. Or another case, so that's case number 1. The theft, yeah, he doesn't know. He comes and he doesn't know who from. I'm gonna write more later. Second case. Oviv shel echad mikem hifkid limone. One of you, the father of one of you, was mafkid moneh in my possession. I don't know which one. Yeah, thank you very much. In other words, I don't know which one of your fathers. Was it your father or your father? Your father alive? Your father alive? No. Because the fathers are not alive, they don't know. The children who he's now approaching, this is not the thief. This is the case of the deposit. He's a nice guy. And he says, listen, one of you, your father was mafkid, deposited money by me, and I don't know which one. I don't know which one it is. Okay, so the assumption is they don't know what's going on here. They don't know him from Adam. They don't know what the fathers did with their money. And he knows the one of them gave him money. He doesn't know which one. He has to give each one 100 zuz, which means he has to lose. From his own pocket, he has to take and give each one that he admitted that he's a maybe, yeah, that he owes money to, possibly as a shema. Shema means a maybe. He has to give each one and even lose money, right? I don't know if I owe you 100 zuz, you 100 zuz. I'll give both you and you 100 zuz, which means I'm forking out of my own pocket 100 zuz. Why, what, where, who? We're going to see later. The Mishnah says one interesting reason, because he admitted himself, he admitted that he's the one who came forth, he's the one who admits, and he's the one who says, I owe. He's the one who wants to come clean, maybe. So if you want to come clean, says the Mishnah, you have to even lose money in order to make sure that any potential owner of the money really gets the money. And that's the case in this case, the first case of theft, and the second case of the father, right? Deposit of the fathers, yeah, the sins of the fathers. The deposits of the fathers, what does the person do? He has to spend money. Yeah, he has to take out money. What should I write in English? He has to lose, I shouldn't say lose, spend your own money, spend. In other words, take out, fork your own money. And also over here, in the first case of the theft, yeah, you have to spend your own money and really make sure that they all get what they possibly are owed by you. Everything will be explained in the Gemara. So these are the first 2 cases in the Mishnah. Third case in the Mishnah, it's very important to remember the order of the Mishnah here. There was 2 cases in the Reisha. Comes the seifa. Shnayim shifkidu le'echod. Two people themselves deposited money by someone. Ze moneh v'ze mosayim. One of them was mafkid 100, and the other one was mafkid 200. What of zuzim? Yeah, in other words, 100, 200. They themselves know very well what went on, but each one claims that the bigger deposit was his. They both know about each other's deposits, as the Gemara is going to say. Each one says, I gave you the big chunk. The assumption is that there's one person here who is a four-letter word, liar. Yeah, and what do you do in that case? You give each one 100, yeah, because that's for sure both are owed 100. That's not a point of debate. However, what about the third, a third 100? What about that? Because that's a point of discussion. That's a point of contention. So b'ashar, that rest of the money, which means it will be lying there. We will stay there at Shov Eliyahu. At Shov Eliyahu means that until the Messiah comes, or until they figure out, or we really know, we look at the CCTV, or we have ADIM, or we have some way of finding out what went on. Until then, he would keep the money for them. But he does not have to fork out money from his own pocket. Yes. Okay. So now that's the case over here. Oh, so that's one case of theft. The second case of deposit, I know it doesn't look like the order of the Mishnah, yeah, but basically, yeah, maybe we could actually write that like that. Okay, I did two thefts and two deposits, okay? So the second case of deposit is when they themselves, yeah, the people themselves, they were, whatever, yeah, themselves, then he doesn't have to spend. No, don't spend. Yeah, there's a liar over here. And what do we say? Yeah, I don't have to spend from my own pocket. In this case, in the fourth case, yeah, when the people themselves, they don't know what's going on, there's a liar over here. I'll give 100 to him, 100 to him, because that's for sure. The third 100 will keep until you learn to behave yourselves, or until the person comes clean and says, I lied or I made a mistake. That's what Tanakama says. No shvua. Good point. No shvua. No shvua, because no shvua. No, shvua is only in 3 cases in the Torah, or no shvua as far as I know. No. Shvua is only in specific cases when the person knows that you're not mishbiah neshema. No, who would be mishbiah anyways? Would be mishbiah who? One of the mishbiah that be nishba that it's mine. Okay, that it's a good point. I'm going to look into it, but the pashtus there's no shvua. Okay, let's continue for now. Nice, good point. Says the Mishnah. Omer Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi again argues. Did you notice Rabbi Yosi is the star of the show in this parak? Rabbi Yosi, like in the first Mishnah, argues here also. Omer Rabbi Yosi in the second. This is the third Mishnah. Sorry, just like the second Mishnah. Imken, if that's what you say, each one gets 100, and the third 100 is safe and secure by the shomer. What would the Ramai lose? The Ramai has no incentive to not to lie. He's not losing anything. He gets 100. He gets 100. I want to make the Ramai lose more. I want to create means of pressure against the Ramai, against the Schwindler, yeah, against the hoax guy, because I want him to pressurize him to admit. Ella, therefore, Hakol Yemuna Chat all 300 collective punishment, collective means of pressure. Yeah, the entire class doesn't go in an outing until the kid that threw the paper plane on the teacher tells me who he was. Yeah, everyone gets punished until the paper plane, his thrower will come and admit. Lahavdil. In other words, says Rabbi Yosi, all 300 shekels should stay by the shomer, but based in shomer, we're going to see in the Gemara that works until you decide to admit that you lied. That's the idea, and otherwise you're losing everything. You're trying to be big and smart, you lose everything because of your lying. And so too, similarly, and now we're talking about kelim. That last case we're not going to discuss today. It will be discussed, I think, tomorrow, the day after. Shnei kelim. Similar story. Instead of money, we're talking about kelim. 2 vessels, 2 nice vases. Echad yofe mone, ve'echad yofe 1000 zuz. Yeah, there are 2 vases. One of them is worth 100 zuz, and one of them 1,000 zuz. Yeah, that I think is 10 times more. Each one says that the nice vase belongs to him. The 1,000 shekels one belongs to me. Say both of them, one of them lying. What do? One of them you give to the, let's say to Reuven, you give the 100 shekel vase. And what about the other one? What about Shimon? Out of the 1,000 shekel vase, you give 100 worth value money, nois and dmei cotton l'sheni, which means Rashi here says something very, very strange. You break the kli, whatever that means. But others say that you sell the kli. Let's say you sell the 1,000 shekels nice vase, yeah, the ming vase, and what? And the 100 shekel out of that you give who? You give the one guy, Reuven or Shimon. What about the remaining 900, which are the bone of contention? That should stay until Elijah the prophet comes. That stays until what? Until you figure out, until you decide to behave, until we figure out what's going on. The third part will not get, nobody. That's basically the same idea as when they themselves are in a fight. Themselves with a liar. Themselves plus a liar. We say, no, I don't have to spend money on you. I don't have to spend money on you. No, he's not spending any money. No. You get what you get, and the rest will stay by me. Amar Rabbi Yossi, again, Rabbi Yossi says what he says. If so, if you just give each one the minimum that for sure he has, the Rama again is not losing anything and there's no incentive to admit. Everything will stay put until Elio comes. Your question does bother me, Ellen, about Shvua. There is a reason why we don't take Shvua, which is in the first parak. If you remember, this case appears in the first parak, right? This case of Rabbi Yossi with the 3 monim, with the 1 Rama, we learned it at the very beginning of the first parak. And also there's the Tosfos at the very beginning of the Masechta that discusses many, why don't you say Achloiku, why don't you say Shvua, v'chule, v'chule. Okay. I think you don't make him swear because he's for sure Rama. Yeah, I think, 1 minute. I'm still online and I'm aware of it. Ellen asked a good question why we don't say that. Yeah, but I think if we know for sure there's a Rama, then we don't do Shvua. Shame in my head, I forgot it. Okay. We're going to look into it. Okay. Weiter. So let's look at the Gemara. Says the Gemara. We still do not speak about the second case of theft, right? The first case of theft is what? I don't know who I stole from. Then you don't know who you stole from, you come clean. You have to now give from your own pocket 1 to Reuven, 1 to Shimon, even though you're losing. Says the Gemara, Alma, that is to say, you see from the first case of the Mishnah that the guy has to spend money. Yeah. In other words, at the moment we assume that the people that he stole from in the theft case, they know. They both come to him and they claim, you stole from me, says Reuven. You stole from me, says Shimon. They both say to Mr. Ganev, and Ganev says, I admit to stole from one of you. I don't know who from. So what do we say? He has to give both. Does that work nicely with the Metzia Mechaver Levaraya? Is everybody happy? Anybody? No, doesn't seem to be the Metzia Mechaver Levaraya. Prove it, right? Now, this is not, before the Gemara begins to talk, let me give you an introduction. The classical case of Metzia Mechaver Levaraya, give me a good case of Metzia Mechaver Levaraya, please. I want to drink something. Give me a case, Metzia Mechaver Levaraya, no simple case. No yalla. No, I come to Yitzchak and I say, owe me $1,000. Absolutely no base to it. You know, poor Yitzchak is giving me tea every day. Such a nice guy. Yeah. What? Even Shvua is mid the Oraisa. You can tell me, go home, go jump in a lake, even without a Shvua. Mid the Rabbanon, you have to be in Mishpah. Mid the Oraisa, Matzah B'chavaraya. I have absolutely no basis to think that the money in Yitzchak's pocket is mine. I'm just inventing new things, right? And the same goes to all kinds of other sfekas, which we don't know if Yitzchak owes me or doesn't owe me. However, in this case, it's not exactly the same. Because here he admits that he owes the money to someone, we don't know who to. Right? He admits I stole. He comes, big tears to Beis Din, and he says, I stole. So we know that he stole. We don't know if it's Reuven or Shimon. They both claim, they both claim to the throne, yeah, or to the money. Still, here too, we don't use the term Amud Raya, but the dynamics are similar. Now let's see the Gemara. Alma, that is to say, from here we can derive from the first case of the Mishnah that he has to fork out money from his own pocket, misfeika. In case of doubt, what kind of doubt? We know he owes money, we don't know who to. It's a bit more of a, delicate kind of fine-tuned motzei mechaber. We know you owe, we don't know who to. We say mafkinan mamayna. We say what? The money should go out. Mafkinan, we take out money from his pocket and we say you're forced to pay extra $100 or extra $1,000 from your pocket. And we don't say uki mamayna b'cheskas more. Oh, that's uki mamayna b'cheskas more. We don't say leave the money the chazaka of the master. Who's the master of the money? Who's the owner of the money? The ganev. The ganev does have his own money. The second 100 shekels he gives from his pocket belongs to him. And we don't say leave it all in his pocket. We say because we're in Suffolk, but we know something happened here, he has to give 100 to him and 100 to him. We do not treat it as motzei mechaber levaraya like in the other cases. Now the question is, okay, here there's a question. Shnaim shefkidu etzel echod zemon v'zemosayim. Basically, the question is from the Sefer of our Mishnah. Look, we see when they themselves, with the ganev over here, what do we say? Do spend. Theft, he doesn't know who he stole from. Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know who he stole from. Who is the victim? What do we say? You spend. And yet, frag the Gemara, look at the Sefer. Look at the case of Pikodon. Shnaim shefkidu etzel echad zemon v'zemosayim. Yeah, two people in the very Sefer here. This case number 4. We're asking from case number 1 to case number 4. We say what? Two people were mafkid by the same guy, 100, the other one 200. Each one claims and says, mine was the envelope with the 200. I'm the big guy with the big money. Each one gets 100. And the third 100 stays by him. Oh, so what do you see? That we don't ask a person to fork out money from his own pocket. Why is it that by the thief we say you got to pay from your own money, and here by the people themselves we say that he doesn't? What's the difference? Why the case one? What? Nice answers the Gemara. The Rebbe is mechaven to the Divrei Gemara. Very nice. Omer lei. At the moment, by the way, we assume that they sue him. By the way, he's not coming here to be a nice guy. At the moment, the Gemara, according to Rashi, assumes that they are coming against him. They forced him. However, you're still correct. Omer lei answers the Gemara to the Makshan. Pikodon agezel karamis. You're comparing theft to Pikodon to deposit. These are two different people completely. Gezel the Obad Isura. The one who stole, he did an Isur. Yeah. Prohibition, he broke a law, he broke the law, he broke the Torah's law, he stole. Kansur Rabbanon. Rabbanon canceled him. Rabbanon said, in this case, you got to pay, baby. You got to pay from your own pocket. Yes, I'm so sorry. You stole, you don't know who from. You got to pay both. You're not a nice guy. Maybe you're a nice guy. But you're a ganev. And as you say nicely, to be mechaper, you really got to go all the way through. Miknas. Pikodo in the law of Adisura. The guy who was a shomer, he's a nice guy. It's their mistake and their, by the way, or their lie. They're lying. He's nice. He's good. So he didn't do anything wrong. Lo kansu Rabbanon. And then Rabbanon didn't cancel him. So far, so good. Now, what do we see? We have now a case of Gzela because he does know, but he's still a thief. Thief. Got to pay for your own money. But when you deposited, and they're the ones who are giving you a hard time, and you're a nice guy, then you don't have to spend. However, what about case number 3? Case number 3 is a pikodon, right? It's a deposit, and he still has to pay. That's the sefer of the Mishnah, right? He's a nice guy, and he still has to pay from his own pocket. Why? He's not a thief. In case number 3 in the sefer of the Mishnah, and we still say that, yeah, in case number 2 in the Mishnah, excuse me, and we still has got to pay. The Rami pikodon and pikodon. The Gemara is going now to challenge and ask a question from one case of Pikodon to another case of Pikodon. The Rami Gezel a Gezel. The Gemara is going to also at Collide going to show the difference and ask what's the difference between one case of Gezel to another case of Gezel. Yes, it's this case which we didn't yet learn. Let's see. Question number 1, Pikodon and Pikodon. Pikodon and Pikodon, anybody who looks at the Gemara or the whiteboard can see a very, very glaring contradiction. Why? Look at that. The Ktani Reisha. It says in the beginning of the Mishnah, at the beginning of the Mishnah, it says, right? The second case of the Reisha, the father of one of you, I don't know which one. I'm coming here, I'm honest with you people. One of you, the father was Mafkid Moneh. I don't know if it's you, Levinstein, or you, Baruchman. Whichever one of you people, your father was Mafkid Moneh. The Eini Yodea Ezehu. I don't know which one of you the father was Mafkid the money. Yeah, at all. It's not 100 versus 200. There's only 100 at stake. I know I have $100 here. I don't know. Was it your father or your father? Don't remember. And yet we say, aham. We say that each one gets a money. Why? Right? So here's a nice guy. He didn't steal anything. Yeah. Verimini. And we ask it in the form of a stira. Remini is always a contradiction between two statements of the same level. Verimini, Shnaim Shef Kidu. The two people were mafkid, case number 4. Well, they themselves gives you a hard time. Then what? You don't have to spend. Why? Well, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nifkad, I'm a shomer. I don't have to spend money because of their nonsense and their lying. And over here, when the fathers were mafkid, from some odd reason, you do have to spend money from your own pocket, and you do have to. Why? Why is that? So it's a stira within hafkodah, right? Why? What's the difference between pikodon of the fathers and pikodon of the zis kinderlach? Very zis. One of them is a liar. They're so zis. Rebbe Peretz has a solution. Do you? Commercial time. Weiter. The nice points were raised here. Let's continue. Omar Rove. Okay, back to commercial time. Let's go. Omar Rove, says Rove, second to the penultimate narrow line. Omar Rove, says Rove. Reisha, in the Reisha, Nase Kemishef Kidulo Bishnei Krichos. Peretz is right. First of all, a shomer has the responsibility, sometimes a shomer has the responsibility to know who gave him what. What do I mean sometimes? Shnei krichos. I'm not translating or explaining. Let's say two people come to me, yeah, the rabbi and Yosef. You both come to me, each one surreptitiously with a closed envelope, and you say quietly, this is mine. The other one says, this is mine. It's very clear that you don't want to know about it. You don't want the other person to know about your pikodon. In other words, if the feel of it is shnei krichos, one envelope from Rabbi, one envelope from Yosef, each one is separate. I should then have the records, write it down, maybe even get Adim. I should really make sure 2 separate envelopes. That belongs to Rabbi, this belongs to Yosef, and very clear. It's my responsibility because the way they deposited by me invites secrecy and separation in order, right? Secrecy, not so much. Now, what does a person say in the Reisha? There was only one person mafkid. Where's the confusion? One person was mafkid by you, and you don't know whether it's Levinstein or Baruchman. I don't want to use bad words, but you are a clumsy klotz, shlamazel, and you have to pay for a shlamazelkeit. Now that's what you're saying, right? Again, says the Mishnah, the Gemara. Omerove, Reisha. In the Reisha, there's only one person that gave you money, mister. Nasa Kemishef Kidulo, it's considered as if it's like 2 people were mafkid by him, deposited by him, b'shnei krichos, in 2 envelopes, in 2 different items. The Havilele Meidak, he should have been bedakdik, he should have been particular, should have been very careful and know who is the person. Rabbeinu Hananel says something genius. You should have asked him for the name and write down the name. You don't know Levinstein or Baruchman. Both are called Kohen. So right, Kohen Yosef Kohen Ben Princelovsky. You should write the name of each one. Or in this case, there's only one guy. Watch Lamazelkeit. One person was mafkid. You don't know whether it was Reuven or Shimon. Got to pay for that. You pay for mistakes, mister. First wide line. Seifa. The case of the Seifa, no. What was in the Seifa? The Seifa is a bit of an ukimta, but Nasa Kemishef Kiduloi Bekrach Echod. It's as if both Reuven and Shimon both gave him the 200 of one and the 100 of the other in one envelope, in one bag, even though it wasn't really in one bag. But the Gemara is going to explain soon. I'm going to say to you now, they both came to him together and they both saw the pikon of the other person, and they showed mutual trust. They showed, we trust the other person The one of the 200 trusted the one of the 100 not to claim that it's his. I'm going to see it now with the Gemara. In the second case of when they themselves were messed up, he did not have to be medayik. It was not his job to really know very well who's the 100 guy, the 200 guys. Why? Kigoin explains the Gemara exactly what happened. The Gemara gets actually quite verbose here. What's hadi hadodi? Together. Both of them together were mafkid b'chad zimna at the same time. The two people come to me, all smiles, cutesy putesy. They come to me with 200, 100. They both see the other person's deposit, which shows mutual trust, right? What do you mean mutual trust? The one with the 200 trusts the 100 guy not to tell stories. Otherwise, he would have hidden it, right? Hide it in the envelope like a good poilishe. Be very secretive, surreptitious, and don't show the other guy. The Omer Lehu, now they come and they claim, you give us both the 200. It's your mistake. No. The Omer Lehu, he should say to them, he says now, Ant Bufaychu, you yourselves, Mr. Reuben and Mr. Shimon, loikabditu adodi. You're not makpid on each other. You're not particular with each other to keep the secrecy between each other. Ano kapidna, I have to be makpid. I don't have to be holier than thou. You did not do it in a discreet way. Therefore, I didn't have to find out better than you. And therefore, what? Let's summarize. So far, what are we saying? In the Pikoda, let's leave the Ganav alone. Ganovim will be discussed later. They're above the screen anyways. The father's Pikodon, it's your fault. Like it's not nice to say the word your fault, but it is. Lamaisi, you should have known if he was Reuben or Shimon. You get money? You said nicely. You said very nice. I like what you say, by the way. Shomer chinam, even shomer chinam has chiyuvim. The shomer chinam has to have minimal kind of shmira. You have to know gave you the money. One person gave you the money. You can't keep the records of one person. What are you talking about? Yeah, maybe another person came 5 minutes later, but that's a separate pikodon. Now you messed up by not knowing. Give both. Yeah, fork money from your own pocket. Sorry. In the second case, where they themselves gave him, they gave it to him together, demonstrating mutual trust. It's as if they all gave him in one pile. It's not his kevrosh, not his headache. Remember, if Reuben gave 200 or Shimon gave 200, because they seem to be like kind of okay and buddy-buddy with each other regarding that 200. And therefore, I don't have to know better than you. Now you messed up. Now the guy you trusted, who is now claiming 200 is lying, your fault. You demonstrated over trust. Next time, be a poilisha. Don't trust anybody. That's what we say so far. What about Gzela? Oh, it's up there. Gzela, of course it's his fault. That's a different story. You stole. Ganev. The Ganev, of course, has to pay for his sins. And therefore, Chachamim canceled him. They find him. Yeah, and they said you have to pay. You don't know who you stole from. You got to pay to both sides. So far, so good. And of course, we are missing a variable in the formula. And that's going to be the next fun thing to learn. Let me make a bracha while I'm listening to Ellen's very intelligent pitit. Ellen just made a very nice nafkamina from what the Gemara just said. It's not about fathers versus children. Very nice. Let's say the people themselves, would be mafkid, but each one came 5 minutes later. One came and then the other 5, or each one gave in his closed envelope with like 100. That's my 200 with a secret code. Yeah, each one and a chinami. Then would be the halacha would be each one separately. That would be the halacha like the fathers, and vice versa. Let's say you can prove that both fathers were very buddy. Let's say the two fathers, same thing, right? It's not about fathers versus children. It's about whether the deposit was one big balagan or each one very separate and discrete from the other. That's a very nice observation. Yeah, each one has his own code to the thing. Yeah. I have something to tell you, but let's first listen to the rabbi. Yes. Okay, now we're going, the Gemara is going to continue, third wide line, V'rami gezel a gezel. Now I'm going to ask from one case of gezel, you said that the Gazlan has to spend his own money, and yet we're going to see another case of gezel where the Gazlan does not have to spend from his own money. V'rami gezel a gezel. Tani hocho, it says over here in the Mishnah, what? Omer l'shnaim gazalti lechad mikem mone. I stole mone 100 zuz from one of you. From one of you, I stole 100. I don't know which one, right? That was what? Yeah, we're in the Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, fourth wide line. I don't know which one of you is the one I stole from, right? And then we just finish off, although that's not the main issue here, or the case of the father, although they should put in parentheses, so that's not the issue right now. We said, you don't know who you stole from? Oh, Ganev, pay each one. You don't know? Tough luck, you don't know. Who told you to steal? Nobody recommended that exactly when we were in Mount Sinai. And therefore, you have a suffix, pay one, pay the other, and go home. Ramini, now we're asking a question from one Mishnah to another Mishnah. And that Mishnah, by the way, appears, we saw it not that long ago. We saw that Mishnah quoted, it's a Mishnah in Yevomes. I think it's a Mishnah there. I didn't learn Yevomes so well, but the Mishnah in Bava Kama, Kuf Gimel Amud Beis, this is also stated. Gozal Echad Nichamisha. Whoa, we're getting to big numbers. One person stole from one of 5 people. There are 5 people, and let's again assume now, we're still assuming, by the way, that what I call the victims of the theft are all up in arms against him. They all say, I'm the one you stole from. Yeah, they all sue him. 5 people sue him, and really there's only one that's a real plaintiff. The other ones are just pretending, hoping to make a quick buck. Yeah. He stole from one of 5 people, all dressed the same, all the same football team. They all support the same soccer team. They all dress the same. He doesn't know which one he stole from. One of them says it's for me. No, he stole from me 5 times over. Each one says, yeah, of course, for me, he stole the 500 pounds. What does he do? Says you put the gzela there and go home. Put the gzela between them and run away. Now, Lamaisa, the Gemara says that this is not exactly so. I just want to make a point before getting to the main point. It's not like the herring, at the end of the Kiddush, where, each one wants to grab the herring, 5 hands over one nice herring. That's not the case here. The case here really, he tells Beis Din, listen, Beis Din, I'm now honest guy, I'm doing tshuva. Yeah, I'm now interested in giving back the 100, but I didn't steal one dime more than 500 pounds. That's all I stole from one person. You, Beis Din, take it, yeah, and then he keeps it by him. You take it, meaning you know that I owe it to someone. He keeps it by him by the safe, and when or maybe not even the safe, but we all know that once they realize who's the right gunner, who's the right victim, he'll pay him. But one thing we see for sure, Rab Tarfon says, however we explain the leaving the just one sum of the theft, that's all very nice. One thing we see for sure, Rab Tarfon does not say that you have to pay both Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, and Binyamin, right? He doesn't say you have to pay each one. It's exactly the same case like in our Mishnah, and yet, what do we see? In our Mishnah, we see that you have to give each one. Yet over here, says Rabbi Tarfon, in the case of theft, Rabbi Tarfon, because soon we're going to see Rabbi Kiva also, he says, no, don't spend, don't sweat over it, don't spend. Says Rabbi Tarfon, yeah, no, don't spend. In other words, once you only stole 100, one sum, yeah, that's all. Give the 100, tell Beis Din, inform everybody that they should fight it out, they should figure it out, and then give it to the winner, to whoever is the one. Oh, so you see that from some reason, our Mishnah contradicts Rab Tarfon. Our Mishnah says, thief, consent, you have to consent and give each one. Who? 5 people, 10 people, each one. And here Rab Tarfon says, no, just give one to all of them and let them fight it out legally. So what do we see? Alma, that is to say, the Gemara asks it better than me. We see what? Back to what we said at the beginning of the Gemara. Very stylistically, the Gemara now goes back to what it said at the beginning. We see in the case of this, what I call semi-hamotza mechaver lavaraya. We know that he owes, but we don't know who to. We don't take out money from his pocket, extra money that belongs to him. And we do say, we say that the money really should stay by its owner, and the legal owner of the money is the thief. The thief owes 100, let's say. The rest, the other 400, he doesn't know anybody. Let's stay by him. So what do you see? Oh, you see that the Mishnah is not like Rab Tarfon. Please explain. Says the Gemara, oh, what are you talking about? You're reading half a Mishnah to me, and you start asking me questions from half knowledge is the most dangerous, my father Olav Shalom used to say. You read me heading half a Mishnah, starting giving me trouble. Says the Gemara, what? How do you know our Mishnah follows Rabbi Tarfon? Read the Mishnah over there, the end of Yevomis. There is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Have you heard of Rabbi Akiva? Says Rabbi Akiva on the very, very same case of one guy from 5, and he said you should jolly well spend. Yes, says Rabbi Akiva, very picturesquely, says very poetically, He says that's not the way to get out of Avera. Says Rabbi Akiva, no. Says Rabbi Akiva, you want to really be yoytze the choiva, you have to. Says Rabbi Akiva, you have to be day Adam. Yeah. In the case of if Beis Din, if they sue you to Beis Din, you have to pay each and every one. So our Mishnah followed Rabbi Akiva. Finished. Why are you asking me a question from the Mishnah to Rabbi Tarfon? Could be our Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva Mishnah that said, look, it's so nice. Spend. Cool. Very nice. Our Mishnah follows Rabbi Akiva, does not follow Rabbi Tarfon. That's absolutely legitimate for the Mishnah to follow one time and not the other. So what's your question, Bichlal? Yeah? Never started. Okay? Answers the Gemara, no. I know the Mishnah does follow Rabbi Tarfon. The Ktani Allah De'ahi, because on that very same Mishnah in Yavamis, it says there, Moed Rabbi Tarfon, the same Rabbi Tarfon says, Be'omer l'shnaim gozalti lechad mikem mone. Rabbi Tarfon himself says, if the person comes and admits, I'm giving you a hint, by the way, my friends, I'm giving you a hint. If a person admits, big tears in his eyes, TV camera is there, he's coming to admit that he stole and he doesn't know who to, says Rabbi Tarfon, I agree to my colleague Rabbi Akiva, to my opponent Rabbi Akiva, I agree, Ooh. So Rabbi Tarfon actually is just contradicting himself. Rabbi Tarfon himself says outright that when 5 people sue you, they take you to Beis Din, they drag you to the court, all 5 of them, each one a separate lawsuit, and each one says, I'm the one you stole from. What do you got to do? Pay 1, take out 100, whatever the sum was. Let's say they claim 100 pounds, leave it in Beis Din and go home. Yeah. And yet, Rabbi Tarfon himself said, like our Mishnah, yeah, here's a contradiction between Rabbi Tarfon himself, yeah, because this is Rabbi Tarfon. And yet he says that if you admit that you stole, then you have to give each one the money. So if there is a contradiction, an eternal contradiction, this is Rabbi Tarfon. Our Mishnah is Rabbi Tarfon. Yeah, he's the one who said that he also said you have to spend. So what's going on? Again, what's the question? Let's leave Rabbi Kiva on the side for a minute. We're going to go back to him. Today we're going to do Tosfos. Rabbi Simkin, you're happy? Yeah, today we're going to do, could be, if we have time, a large piece of Tosfos, maybe today. Special treat for today. Let me just focus the question. The question is very clear. Rabbi Tarfon is the one who said that if people take, I'm giving it, I want you to answer the question, okay? Rabbi Tarfon says 5 people take you to Beis Din, they drag you to the court, and they say, Yomi, and you know you only stole from one person. They also know it's only one person. They don't know which one. Musical chairs, yeah. Then what? How much do you have to give? 1. Yeah, 100 is at stake. That's what you have to give. You go fight it out. He throws it to them, not exactly figuratively speaking, and you got to fight it out. And yet, Rabbi Tarfon, endorsed by our Mishnah, said that if you admit and you say, I stole, then what you got to do? You have to give each one the 100 and fork out money of your own pocket. What's going on? It's a steer in Rabbi Tarfon. Okay, fine. No suggestions? Fine. In both cases, there's a doubt. In case of doubt, do with. One time we say in case in doubt, do without. And now we say in case in doubt, do with. Both cases is doubt. In both cases, they lie, or whatever. In both cases, he's in doubt. Let's put it this way. Yes. Answers the Gemara, you're in the right direction. Entfert the Heilige Gemara, 3rd line from the bottom of the page. Hossam over there, which is not in our Mishnah, the Katavi lay. Over there, he does not admit. Very nice, Ellen. In the case where he does not have to spend, I would call case number 2, and don't spend, that is the person who wants to go by the letter of the law, which means he's a person that they came and they claimed he did not admit. And if he admitted, he admitted that after they claimed, then he says, yes, you're right. After they took him to court, and he wants to do the minimum. He wants to basically go not by the letter of the law, but the minimal bottom line of the law, right? And therefore, says Rabbi Tarfon, arguing in Rabbi Akiva, by the way, here's the argument, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon, me'ikr hadin, by the letter of the law, but the mere letter of the law, says Rabbi Tarfon, no, you don't have to give more than you stole. And Rabbi Akiva says you do. Rabbi Akiva says that in Bori B'Shema. What's Bori B'Shema? If 5 people say, I am sure you stole from me, and he doesn't know which one, right? In that case, says Rabbi Akiva, as much as they sound a bit crazy, but Lamaisa, each one is certain that it's from him. Each one is a boli versus the thief that's a shema. Says Rabbi Akiva, you have to give each and every one. Says Rabbi Tarfon, no. If you want to go by the letter of the law, if you're looking at a lawyer's point of view, secular, kivyochol, one for all five, go jump in and like all five of you, or go jump over the money. Oh, our Mishnah is a whole different kettle of fish. Our Mishnah is a person, big tears. He comes and he's asking the rabbi, Rabbi, I've sinned. I know you're not a priest, but I have to make a confession. And he's telling what? I want to be Yotzei Dechoiva, not more Yotzei Dechoiva de Odom. I want Hashem not to punish me in Shamayim. I admit that I stole, yeah, and I know Chanukah is coming. Oh, yeah, what does it have to do with anything? I don't know. But Lamai say, yeah, Chanukah is time of tshuva. And what? And I want to be clean in the eyes of Hashem. I don't want Hashem to punish me. I don't want Hashem to think badly of me. What should I do then? Says Rabbi Tarfon. Even I admit, says Rabbi Tarfon, needless to say, Rabbi Akiva, give each and every one. And even that is a chiddush, which we're going to see in Tosfos if we have time. Daikanami says the Gemara that this answer was not exactly a castle in the air. This answer is meduyak, can be grammatically derived from the Mishnah. The Ktani Shehoida Mipi Atzmo Ishmami. Know how beautiful we're closing a circle over here. You remember that I had a bit of a funny tone when I read at the beginning of the Mishnah. He has to give him and him and him because he admitted. Because he admitted, I would say the other way. Usually we say the one who admits, we look at him more favorably. For example, when do we forgive somebody who admitted and he doesn't have to pay someone? Quickie. By Knas. Knas. Kefel. Yeah, all of those. Yeah, Mashenkin over here, and Chinami, because you want to be a good boy, because you want to be good in the eyes of Hashem, that's why you have to go beyond the letter of the law. Even I, Rabbi Tarfon, which usually say it's good to throw the 100 and let them fight over it, but it is today's Shamayim. Oh, so now we have to really summarize the entire sugya, and we are going to read one piece of Gemara here and then go back to the Tosfos. Let's just summarize. It looks as if we have two different answers here, right? When it comes to the Pikodon, what was the answer? The answer was, we put it very, very coarsely, why in the case of Pikodon number 3, you have to pay both? You are clumsy, klotz, shlemazel, and you got to pay for it. You should have known who gave you the money. And in this case, and I liked what you said about father versus son, nice. In the second case, regardless to who did it, who gave him, no. Yeah, I was not a klutz. They gave it in a messy way, trusting each other, all coming together with me, to me with all their money mixed up together. I don't have to know better than them. I don't have to be holier than thou. That's the case over there. Oh, what about the case of those cases over here with the Ganev? The cases of the Ganev depends. The case of the Ganev number 1 is what? It's really when you don't have to spend. Don't spend if you want to go by the letter of the law. Yeah, in other words, yeah, when you do spend, okay, the other both are right. Yeah, when do you have to spend money? You admitted you want to do tshuva, do it properly. You can't say I want to do tshuva, but not follow what Rav Tarfon is telling me. Then Rav Tarfon and Kol Shek and Rabbi Akiva, you want to really do the right things in the eyes of Hashem, give each and every one. Masha'en Ken, when Rabbi Tarfon said and Rabbi Akiva argued, Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva argued when the person says no. I'm not looking to do more than I stole. I stole one, and that's it. And I'm not looking for a tshuva process. I'm doing tshuva on other things. I'm doing tshuva on my unfiltered internet. I'm not doing tshuva now about the money. I'm going to spend one, and that's it. Says Reb Tarfon, way to go, baby. Me'ikaradin, you want to go with the lawyers and the courts and the oilam hazeh? One is enough. Says Rabbi Akiva, no. You got to remember that. And that says Rabbi Akiva, no. Even me'ikaradin, because each one of them is certain, we look at each plaintiff is one against you. He is sure and you are not sure. You got to pay him each and every one. Is a separate court case. You got to pay each one the sum. That is, however, what Tos is going to do very nicely, Tos is going to Tos is going to not fuse nicely both terutzim together. Just because I'm a bit of a yekish and a stickler to the Amud Yomi, we're going to read one more piece of Gemara, and then we're going back to the large Tosfos, to the long Tosfos, and read the first part of it. But let's continue the case. There is time for short questions now. We're not yet there. Okay. We're still in the south. Omar Mal. Yeah. Now we have to see the dynamics of what's the case again? 5 people claim You stole from me. You stole from me. You stole from me. And he says, I stole from who? What exactly did he say? The one who says, I know that I stole, but I don't know who from. Yeah. What were his words? And before we continue, I want to just preface with the idea that everybody here knows, called shtika koido. There's a word for it in English also, right? The silence, consent is silent. You told me once. Yeah, but kids are, if you tell me you owe me $100 and I'm like, that means I admit that I owe you $100. Otherwise, I should have protested. Silence is gold. He's gonna cost him gold for being silent. What? Say, oh, Charlie is when Begadol shtika koido. Right. We're gonna, yeah. Amar Mal says an anonymous Amoyra. No, what am I talking about? No. Shma Amina, Amar Mal, yeah. Amar Mal. Hasam de Katavile, yeah. Over there, we said, over there in the case of what I call case number 2, Machlokas Rav Tafan and Rabbi Akiva, they claim against him. Frag the Gemara of the Hala Matoyen. What does he say? The person whom we don't know whether he owes Reuven or Shimon or Levi, and it's an issue between Rav Tafan and Rabbi Akiva. What did he actually say? Did he say something? Did he keep quiet? Let's explore the case. Rav Yuda Omar Rav Hala Shoise. Soon we're going to see what he means. Even if the person keeps quiet, again, imagine yourself. Reuven says, "You owe me." Shimon, you owe me. Owe me. Ah! He kept quiet. Still, according to Rabbi Tarfon, he does not have to give more than 100. Although he kept quiet. He kept, silence is gold. Rav Matna Omar Rav Matna quoting Rav says, no. Allah Soiveach is screaming, screaming. And what does he say? To each one he says, I don't know you. Look at Rashi. Omer lo kol echad, eini makircha. I don't know you. When Reuven, he fights each one separately. He's quick on the draw. I don't know you. He denies each and every one. And then Beis Din says, according to Rav Tarfon, you can't deny all of them. You got to pay 1 to all 5 and let them fight it out. What's the question here? Whether he keeps quiet or he's answering back? What's the story? Says the Gemara. Man de Omar. It's what I call unilateral machlokas, a one-directional machlokas. Chad sitri. Sometimes machlokas is Reuven has agreed to Shimon, Shimon agrees to Reuven. I love you don't love me. Man de Omar halat seveach. The one who says that only when he screams, then what? That he's got to pay 1 to all. Aval shtika koido. Had he kept quiet to Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, then his silence is interpreted as admitting to each one. In other words, we look at each case as a separate segment. If Reuven says, I owe you, Reuven says, you owe me, each one says, you stole from me. And let's say the assumption is we know that there was one Geneva. We don't know which one he stole from, but the fact that he kept silent to each one, to each Tovea, he's just, not saying anything. It's as if we don't look at all 5 as coming to grab one piece of kugel. We'll look at each one as a separate claim, and he admitted to each claim. We know that there was only one theft. We know, so what? Lamaisa, Reuven says you stole from me and went, to Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Binyamin, Each, is interpreted as a separate claim. It is a separate oido. It's a separate admittance. You admitted to all 5. Even Rabbi Tarfon would agree you have to pay all 5 each one. That's expensive. However, Uman de Omar Halo Shoisek. But 1 second. And only if you're tzoveh. Sorry, I'm going back 1 second. Yeah, but only if you scream. Not scream doesn't mean to scream loudly. If you protested, that's probably the right answer, right? How did I know? Right? No. If cries out. Oh, cries out. Oh, okay. So politically incorrect. So if he protests to each one and says, I don't know you, I don't know you, only then he fought back, then we say he owes 1 to all 5 and let them fight it out. Yeah. However, second line, Uman Doma Lo Shoisek. The one who says that even if he keeps quiet, he still only has to pay 1 to all 5. Shtika dehocho lav koido. The shtika over here is not admittance. Usually, if one guy would come to me, if Yitzchak would come to me and say, you owe me 500 shekels, and I'm like, there would be I'm admitting I owe you. Yeah. However, over here, the shtika of 5 different people all claiming the throne of one throne of one money, one sum of money, it's different. Matzi Omerlei, he could tell each and every one, The fact that I kept quiet to each and every one because I was an honest guy. The Amina, I told myself, Amina, I told myself, Deal Mahaihu, Deal Mahaihu. Maybe he's the one. I can't deny Reuven and say, I don't know you. There'll be a lie. Because I know it's maybe Reuven. Get the picture? Reuven says it's for sure me. And he says, the Ganav says, maybe, 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 maybe. Because it's a maybe. That's why I kept quiet. When it's either all or nothing, either I owe Yitzchak 500 or I don't, there's no maybe pregnant, maybe. It's either or. There's no maybes. Then in a Hanami, if I keep quiet, that's a yes. It's a yes-no question. They're like in the courtroom drama. Yes or no? What are you talking about? But Shenken, if it's 5 people and I keep quiet to Reuven because we have a doubt here, we don't know if it's Reuven or Shimon or Levi. I kept quiet to Reuven because I'm an honest person. I can't say to Reuven, it's not you. Maybe it is him. But I remain in a maybe. I still remain a maybe. In this case, the silent cry is a maybe and not an admittance, not called admitting. And therefore, still at the end of the day, we remain in a one big maybe. And at the end of the day, according to Tafne, that he'll have to give 100 shekel to Beis Din, yeah, and say, I'm sorry, Beis Din, I stole from one person. I'm not in some amazing tshuva process. I'm not here. Sorry, Elul is over. Yeah, and now I'll give 100 and I'll go home. And you figured out, maybe takes the 100, then he gives it to them, 100, not more, says Rabbi Talfoin. Okay? In this case. Good? We have time to go back to Tosas. I'm willing to your questions now. If you want, or we're going to flip the page to see a very beautiful Tosas, as much as we'll have time for today. We are not so much into Tosas in this year, unfortunately. Now, says the Tosfos, the very long one at the end. It's not so much at the end. It's a less Tosas, but it's definitely more like at the beginning of the page. So basically, yeah, we in the Gemara used 2 different answers to answer 2 different steers, right? It's either the person had to be responsible and know the envelope, or in the other case, he didn't have to know because they were ambiguous also, or is that Yidei Shemaim versus Yidei Odom? Are you trying to do what the lawyers say or trying to do what Hashem says? Says the Tosfos. Now Tosfos wants to make a fusion of both terutzim and see what exactly is going to be at the bottom line of the page, at the bottom page. Says to seemingly, which means Tos is going to regret what he said, what he's about to say. The hashta, according to the second answer of Yidei Shamayim versus Yidei Odom, now that we came to that, seemingly, you don't have to already answer the first answer even by Pikodon. Yeah? Let's say deposit versus deposit. You can answer the same answer. You don't have to answer anymore. You could say that there's no difference whether they gave it to him in one lump, messy sum, or 2 separate envelopes. You can already omit that answer, the Reisha, and you can have a different answer to the 2 deposits, also the same way of Yidei Shamayim versus not. The Reisha, the not and monol there, but it says Yidei Shamayim. In the case of the fathers, it's not about fathers, as you said, Ellen. It's not about sisters or daughters. It's about Yidei Shamayim. I want to be a good guy, Yotzi Yidei Shamayim. I'll give both this son and that son, because I don't know which one. The Chofetz Chaim gave each and every goiter in his shop for one entire day, gave each and every goiter. There are 2 versions, either a bit of salt or maliach or a herring, because one goiter, yeah, he was wrong with the change when she bought a herring. So he didn't know which goiter. They all look the same with this, thing in Poland. So he gave each and every one to be Yotzi Yidei Shamayim. That's goiter. Gave each and every one. You want to be Yotzi Yidei Shamayim, and he didn't steal from anybody. You give each one. You give everyone who looks the same. The Seifa. And in the Seifa of the Pikodon, this one over here, yeah, when they themselves, the Katavile, yeah, Munach, Tavile, because they claim in the Seifa they're being aggressive, they're the one to veer him. He's not trying to be Yotzi Yidei Shamayim. He doesn't want to be super tzaddik. He's not the Chofetz Chaim. Oh, so the Choyra Tessa says now you can only employ the second answer. In both cases, Pikodon and theft, we can say the difference between case A and case B in both cases is what? Is really here you want to be good B'dei Shamayim, do the extra, give each and every one, and if not B'dei Shamayim, you give one for everybody. Says Tosfos that's not true. I would even skip a few lines to Lekach Nire. Tosfos proves that cannot be true because the Gemara does seem to stick to that answer later. Says Tosfos, give me one more minute. Lekach Nire. Answers Tosfos now fusing both answers. The Kula Mastisin Al Bevol it says B'dei Shamayim. Wow. The entire Mishnah, not all 4 cases, Yeah, except for this, cases 1, 3, and 4 are in the Mishnah. Cases 1, 3, or 4 in the Mishnah. Yes. This theft, bevalidei shamayim, and the both pikdonis are all balbidei shamayim. Yeah, if you followed cases 1, 3, or 4 in the Mishnah. Ulekach, bereisha, in the reisha, the havilele meidak, in the reisha, you're a clumsy guy, you should have known better. Noisen lesdemanos demone, bevolitzesidei shamayim. When you want to be balidei, yeah, to be bidei shamayim, you should feel bad. I should have known better. I should have been more organized. I should have been more with it and write the names on the envelopes, and I didn't. And therefore, bidei shomayim, you have to be yoitze, not bidei odom. The sefer the bekrach echad, now comes a whopping chiddush. In the sefer, when Reuven and Shimon messed up, the keva de lo meidak, and it wasn't his responsibility to remember who gave him what. I feel bevalidate says shamayim einu chayev. Wow. Even bevalidate shamayim, that's the chiddush. Even Hashem will not be angry with you one tiny iota, bichlal, when you come to Gan Eden and Metzia Hashem, because it's so much their fault. It's not even their fault. They sort of like radiated the feeling of we trust each other. So it wasn't even recommended to keep tabs. And therefore, now they're messing up with their lies and their stories. It's completely not mechiyuv, not even bevalit tzesidei shamayim. That's beautiful. There, the only case with bidei adam is really not in our Mishnah. The only case of bidei adam, Rabbi Tafan and Rabbi Akiva, that case is not in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is one common denominator is baal tzesidei shamayim. Later, Taisus goes very nicely to Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Tarfon, and I have it here in this chart of mine. That's my chart, but we didn't get there. Yeshar koyach, may we all be mesuder in Metzia Hashem, and everybody should be matzliach and healthy, wealthy, and nice and good. Atzlacha, Rab. Okay, atzlacha in your trip.